All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the July community call. Today, I'll do a short update on some Odyssey news relevant to some events. And then I'll hand over to our lovely TMU team who will do their recap of the European Symposium and their reflections on the event. And last but not least, there is an exciting announcement we'd like to make around a community-wide ETL project. I won't talk about the details now. I will talk about it after Whitney has Whitney and team has shared their reflections around the European Symposium. So first, before we hand over the floor, right, the post-event pages for the events that took place in April in Japan and Thailand have been set up on odyssey.org at the following URLs. For those who don't know how to reach this on the Odyssey webpage, let me just give you guys a quick run through on this because some people do have trouble finding these because it's sort of hidden, especially for past events. So if you go to odyssey.org, there is actually a button here that says past events. And under the past events, you'll see all the previous events. Some are archived if they are past a certain number of years. But right now, both the Thailand and the Japan events are on the drop-down menu of the past events. So for example, if we click on Japan, it'll take you on the Japan event. It will give you a short a brief introduction of what was done. And then there's also the relevant slides and the recordings for you guys to take a look at for those who actually missed the events live. So same thing for Japan, same thing for Thailand. They're all up there. So in case you guys want to take a look, they're all available for you to access on odyssey.org. So these are on the events, the post-event pages. Next, I will go back to the slides. So the same thing for the European Symposium. For those of you who missed it, the European Symposium took place early June last month. The post-event page is also now live on this URL. So same thing for the Odyssey European Symposium. If you go on odyssey.org, you will be taken, you will have to navigate to the Europe Symposium button. Once you click this, it will take you right to the page that I've posted on the link in the slides. So everybody can take a look. No restrictions. Everything is public. So again, going back to the slides. Where are you? Come back to me. Okay, here we are. Yeah, and last but not least, some updates on the APAC Symposium as well, right? So this has been announced several times, but guys, save the date. The symposium this year is taking place in Singapore. The dates are between December 4th up until the 8th. It's longer than our usual symposiums because there is a datathon at the very last 2 days of the event. So save the date. Make sure your calendars are booked. I expect to see you guys in person there. So really look forward to that. The collaborator showcase submissions for posters and lightning talks will be prepared this month and distributed to the rest of the community at the latest early August. So please keep an eye out on any news around collaborator showcase submissions. It will be the usual forms with the conflict of interest forms as well attached to the abstract submissions. So I will circulate the news once this is ready. And last update, the symposium page for this specific symposium this year will also be created on odyssey.org once the details are finalized, or not, I wouldn't say finalized, once the details are have become more concrete. So we are in active discussions with the host here. Once these are materialized, I will be working with Craig to set up the page on odyssey.org. So I will also announce this to the rest of the community as they become prepared. So that's all I wanted to say. I know you guys hear from me too much. Without further ado, I will hand over to Whitney and her team and TMU to give their reflections around the European Symposium. And I will stop sharing so that Whitney can share from her end. You're muted, Whitney.
Sorry, I was saying I'm going to start sharing, get into it now.
Perfect.
There we go. Let's go entire screen and make it easy. And can y'all see the presentation? Because I can no longer see you.
Yes, we can see you. I will interrupt you if there is any people who have the urgency to interrupt you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we're going to offer a brief overview of the symposium. There were 6 of us there, 4 students, 2 faculty from Taipei Medical University. Christianas is going to present with me. However, Gus, Bella, and Sunny, also students, were in attendance. We represented this College of Management as well as the School of Pharmacy at the symposium, and all of us were related to Professor Jason's research lab. So here's a lovely picture of the team down in the corner. And of course, we had a great time on the SS Rotterdam, which is where the last day of the symposium was held. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Cristianos.
Okay, thank you, Whitney. So we have a pre-symposium educational session on June 1st until the June 2nd at the Educational Center Erasmus MC. Please, next slide. Okay. On the first day, the tutorial contained the introduction to the OHDSI, an open source development workshop, phenotyping workshop, HDSI, a natural language processing work group, and the oncology work group. However, we didn't join all of the tutorial. Yeah, we split and choose the tutorial that's most suitable for us. So personally, I choose the HDSI. Yeah, HDSI, or the Health Analytic Data to Evidence Sheets, is a comprehensive collection of around 35 packages used in the OHDSI studies. So when I learned the HDSI, so I think it is quite familiar when I learned from the Atlas. But the HDSI, we can create like a protocol in the Atlas with the coding, only with the coding. So this is directly integrating with the data in the OMOP common data model. After completing the course, I believe the HDSI is a robust suite for the analyzing health data, promoting open science and enabling federated analysis while ensuring the data privacy. Yeah, however, we find some problem in the class. Yeah, so most of the participants encounter many issues during the installation process. So we spend most of our time just to fix the problem. Okay, next slide, Whitney. Okay, this is for the second days. We learn how to conduct the vocabulary. So actually, I already know how to conduct vocabulary, but with this tutorial, we got the refresh on how to conduct vocabulary systematically. So we learn how to conduct it with the right protocol. So on that day, in addition to step-by-step explanation with the scenario, we use Atlas demo access for group exercise and the competition. Yeah, competition. Because they give us 5 exercise, and yeah, the team that have complete at least 4 exercise can get the chocolate. Yeah, however, we only finish 3 exercise. That correct. Yeah, we failed to get the chocolate. So the entire course design was very thoughtful and intersectional. Participant practice entering ICD-10 codes and obtain validated disease definition from the SNOMED. And we also practice obtaining drug definition set. The practice question covered obtaining scores for active ingredients. Active ingredient used through specific routes, compound drug, and the class of the drugs. Okay, next slide with me. I think. Okay. For the main symposium, yeah, this is for the third day. We have a main symposium at the SS Rotterdam. So first, the opening speech by Professor Peter Rijenbeek and overview of the OHDSI for those new to the OHDSI by Patrick Ryan. And after that, we see around 8 countries from the Europe have initiated using the OMOP CDM. So I think this is OHDSI expand its influence in Europe. They continue to rapid fire session, and I'm proud because one of our member, Whitney, was chosen to present her work in this rapid fire session. And then after lunch, we also get the chance to meet the mentor. Yeah, so personally, I have many questions regarding technical issue when using the Atlas and R, and I bring it to the mentor, and yeah, my mentor answered it very well. Yeah, Patrick Ryan in the session. Thank you to Patrick Ryan. And the last, we see the large scale evidence generated thus for Aiden and Darwin U. Okay, next slide, Winnie.
For the Eden presentation, I'm gonna focus, should I say, on just one of them, and it's gonna be the trends over time with medicine suggested shortages in the EU. What I found interesting for APAC community was kind of how they leveraged different regional associations and accepted criteria to kind of facilitate or foster collaboratory research across their different countries for different settings. So for those that may or may not be aware, there are almost 200, just short of 200 data partners across almost 30 countries are within the Eden for this particular study, for the trend study of suggested shortages for medicines. They want it to be the largest study out of the EU in general, so not just for OHDSI, but globally. They had about 200, initially they had over 100 people that were data partners that were initially interested. I think after cleaning and after feasibility, so the first step, who actually had the data, had trackable medication shortages, it kind of whittled down from about 40, and then they currently have about data from, I think it was about 20 sites, and of course it was still open at the actual symposium, kind of doing a last call for Eden partners to open up their data if they thought they could do it. And the focus of this study, or the two objectives, were one, to kind of look at incident and prevalence rates of suggested drug shortages, again using that the regional understanding of what a drug shortage was, and the second was to characterize the users of the medications. So what diseases are we seeing associated with shortages? Are we seeing certain age range? Are we seeing probably chronic conditions and multiple chronic conditions, so not just one? So I thought this was really interesting from a management point of view of getting, there we go, from the 80 initial inquiries down to 55 databases that committed to the study, to the 19 or the 20 that had submitted data fully at the time, when they were talking about setting up dates that could be appropriately met across different timelines, recognizing different holidays that come into effect and how that can impact people's availability, but also IRBs, but then talking about not the common language as far as OMOC, but just initiating partners and keeping people motivated. As far as my takeaway from this presentation, but also what we could do in APAC is possibly for more collaboratory studies, but also to kind of leverage how the EU is centering themselves in OHDSI work to do the same thing, but with our region. For our recap of presentations overall, we had 5 posters. Wait, sorry, there we go. I was like, that's missing. So page. We had 5 posters. Ours were kind of split up into characterization and also prediction. Our predictions focus on dementia risk and colorectal cancer. And then our topics overall talked about depression and insulin use, periodontal impacts, and then female cancers and risks associated with different outcomes. So here's some posters. So here are pictures of some of our posters. They are also available online as a part of the symposium follow-up that Song was talking about earlier. We had a great time presenting and talking and getting feedback from other sites globally about how this could or could not fit in with the work they're doing for potential collaboration and partnership, but also just getting insight from what other students are doing and their next steps as well limitations, but also facilitators. We tried to make sure that we talked to representatives from all regions, but also targeting people who were from or who either were from the APAC region or had connections. One person that I ended up talking to was actually from India and was just in Rotterdam visiting family and decided to attend the symposium when they found out about it. Excuse me. So of course, attending, we had several takeaways. Sunny said despite the differences in data formats across different countries, unifying the formats and validating data along with fostering regions and even interregional cooperation can significantly enhance the scale of cooperation. This approach facilitates the production of research that is more reflective of real world needs. So understanding that the more partners we have, the more likely we are to actually meet the needs of people in real time and have a better understanding of what clients, but also researchers and practitioners are looking for. I just realized we switched the slides, so I'm going to take Cristiano's comment that we can create multiple pieces of evidence across countries and believe that it will strengthen our research and evidence. And then I'm going to flip back over to Cristiano's.
Okay, and Gus Bella said that she very impressed with the oncology tutorial led by Afi Golozar. So she thinks that the oncology group involved a comprehensive review of existing use case, highlighting the current application and limitation. And Golozar and the participant collaboratively redefine the use cases to better align with the recent advancement in oncology research and data analytics. The goal was to improve the utility and accuracy of oncology data, facilitating more potent, impactful research outcome. And for the Whitney feel the project management aspect of the research, for example, taking the different needs and the aim of the collaborator sites and merging them with the original aim of the primary lead. For example, exploring or flashing out additional research questions, cross-cultural communication strategies, and etc.
Oh, don't worry.
Oh.
It's okay. We can. So there were some shock and awe with these symposiums as they go on. There's always trying to find ways to kind of engage people, right? And so this is one of their ways of engaging. Go full screen. Please let me know if you can't hear.
We can't hear Whitney. So when you start sharing screen, you need to make sure you share your computer sound as well. You need to reshare your screen if you want the folks to hear your sound. Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear me, Whitney?
I can hear you now. I took off the headphones.
Okay. You need to stop sharing screen.
Okay.
And then when you click on the share button, there is a little slider that says include sound.
Oh. Of course there is.
On the upper right-hand corner.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Let's go back to share. Yes, I would like to also share audio. Thank you. So now we will go back so you all can hear the lovely song that we got to hear at the end. Okay, I'm going to start again.
Works now.
All we've done is moving these data schemas and vocabs into one.
So very short, apologies for that. But it was just one of the kind of funny interactive ways of getting people into the conference at the end, or the end of the conference, should we say. It was there was a couple of sing-alongs. One of them was a play on words for why Odyssey was so great and what Europe was doing. And the second one was from the Wiz about tomorrow being a better day and how we can be interactive collaborators. And of course, the other picture is that, there we go. The countries kind of showing what they have in common and as they've utilized the OMOC model. And a little rivaling between countries. I guess there was not, I guess, I know there was a major soccer tournament going on. They made comment of it. Here very quickly, we're going to have a collaboration request to the group, and then we're going to finish the presentation. I can't hear anybody. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sorry. I was worried for a second.
This is my research with the title "The Association Between Comorbid Depression and Insulin Initiation in Type 2 Diabetes, a Cohort OHDSI Study." So I still making the protocol almost finished, but when I try with the atlas and extract the package and I running in R, I still found several technical issues. So I believe I will finish the protocol in 24 July, and I will send it to my Taiwan team, to my professor and my team on 31 July. And I will solve the technical issue, and I will upload the protocol and the package on the GitHub on 7 August. So if you are interested to collaborate with us, so please contact my professor, Jason Xu, at jasonxu@tmu.edu.tw. Jason Xu is as my supervisor.
So this was one of the studies that was presented through poster. Christianos was the lead for the study, and it got a lot of interest while we were there. But of course, if we're going to look at collaboration and interest, we want to make sure that we are first reaching out to our home region to ensure that the APAC is represented, because we do know that depression is a global issue, but something we definitely see here. And so showing that it's represented and then looking within the diabetic population is something that we clearly also, well, it's a core interest at TMU. And for the video, you are available though. You are available. So I think I need to close out here real quick and then show the final video just as a thank you for your time. And then this was just a Gus Bella put this together, just a quick flick so you all could see kind of some of the snapshots of the presentation overall for more visual and not auditory engaged.
This is the time our analytics and data are in right. This is the moment when all we've done is moving these data, schemas and vocabs into one. This is the day. See it sparkle and shine. When all we've worked for becomes pride.
Then, sorry, I'm going to stop it there because I just saw there over time, but I see people are laughing. So I will make sure that the link goes out and it is accessible to all so you can hear the rest of the song and then watch the rest of the video. But we had a great time in Europe. We learned a ton and made great connections with the European partners. We are looking forward to also doing the same thing in December in Singapore.
Thanks, Whitney. Thanks, Christianos, for your presentation. Really love the video you put together, the last one. Yeah, absolutely. Share the video so that it's available to everyone. I'm pretty sure there will be people wanting to see the rest of that. Any questions for Whitney and Cristianos here from the community? Chan, sorry, we can't hear you today. Yeah, now we can hear you. Now we can hear you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I didn't know that I muted the speaker stuff. Okay, so it was truly nice presentation. Thanks Whitney and Christianus for this. And I wonder, the story about the collaboration in the Europe, like, the project lead is very, challenging work, in terms of the managing many peoples and with different cultures and languages. So, still Europe is very, I think, more united world compared with the Asian, countries. So I just wonder what kind of the exact challenges actually exist across the European countries. Do you have any very specific examples about that?
Yes.
About-
So they also mentioned the same challenges we actually see a lot with certain things being coded or put in different ways. I know in the past we've talked about, is it the ingredient of the medication or the name? They're facing the same thing. What they're trying to do is for new countries that are coming in to OHDSI EU is kind of set up guidelines of here's what you should do for your data so that long term down the road we don't have these hiccups. I think again that's something that we could definitely take away of saying as countries join, this might be helpful for you. Go from an ingredient point of view and not a whole medication. Make sure, I know we already do this, but make sure generics are in there as well. There are questions about consenting in adulthood. That's something we also see right across different countries. And do you set it by a specific age or do you set it by adulthood? And then know that what that means for the analysis is that you're going to have a range of scores. So I think that's something that we all see globally, that we do kind of face the same challenges. With there was kind of riling and joking, but you could also see the under tension sometimes of, oh, well, they were gone for 3 weeks because they do holidays and we don't, or this is so we did see some of that come up, or we knew that we couldn't get in touch with them because the national team was on blah 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 for soccer, and most of it was soccer that came up.
Okay, thanks.
I'm pretty sure it's football there, right?
Oh yeah,
Not
sorry,
soccer.
football.
Yeah, Mui, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you for the presentation. Sorry, it's a little loud here. I'm at a bowling alley. I'm subbing for my son. So not something I wanted to do, but my son doesn't want to bowl today. So thank you for the presentation, right? One comment on the European network and why it's a little different from the Asia side is they're being funded, right? There's funding that happens over on the European side. Both Eden and Darwin are funded by either the IMI organization, or they're funded by the EMA, right? And they have one big EMA or like regulatory agency over them, right? Versus in APAC, we don't have such a thing. So that's why it's a little hard to build that type of momentum here in APAC.
Thanks for the input, Mui. By the way, we can't hear any noise from your end. I think your phone is very noise canceling advanced machine.
My headset's doing something good.
Yeah.
Is it Samsung or iPhone?
It's an iPhone, but it's the headset. It's the headset. Look. You won't see me, but see, there's the bowling alley if you really want to see the bowling alley.
Right. Thanks, Mui, for the additional input. Thanks, Chan, for your comments and questions. Thank you, Whitney and Cristianos again, and all the other TMU team that helped with the presentation today. Next on the agenda today, guys, is the announcement. I'll quickly share screen again. Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about a community-wide ETL project that is going to happen. over the next few months. Discussions were initially started among the OHDSI APAC Symposium Planning Committee. Hence, I'm speaking on behalf of all the other lovely people who's helping out with this lovely event. So moving on. Overview of the project itself, right? So when we set up our goals at the beginning of the year, one of our goals was to conduct trainings to the a wider APAC community. So in order to accomplish these goals, we held various events in April, but we are also now pursuing this specific event, this specific project, in which we're aiming to build ETL knowledge within the APAC community. So in order to accomplish these objectives, we would like to move ahead with this ETL project, in which a Singaporean perioperative data set will be the candidate database to be OMOPed into the OMOP Common Data Model format. So how are we going to do this? We're going to do this remotely. Yes, we're not going to do it in person. Not going to happen. A lot of complications there. So using our remote method that we do on a monthly basis and also a bi-weekly basis in the scientific forums, we're going to start the project on the 1st of August and all the way over 11 weeks up until mid-October to get this done. So for those of you who are familiar with the agile approach, we're going to do this in sprints. So sprints are typically split into 2 weeks, but we've made some exceptions here so that we don't interfere too much with the existing meetings that have been set up, which I will go into more detail in the following slides. So we hope to wrap this up by mid-October, but there may be some buffer depending on how much time we have, how much time we use moving forward. So the start date is fixed, but the end date, we might have a little bit of flexibility depending on how this is going to be planned out and how this is going to be, how the database is going to be used during the symposium or before the symposium. Moving on to the proposed schedule. So more details on this, right? So right now, the planning committee is currently working with the data owner to identify some of the administrative and logistic requirements around the usage of the data. And we're also working with the data owner to get a slice of the data, not the full data, but we're going to get a sample of the data in order for us to work on the ETL. So we're making the announcement today. We're gonna following like during the call today, I'm gonna pop up a sign up form which you guys are gonna sign up to, and hopefully we'll have some volunteers within this week and for people to sign up, and then we're gonna do some project preparations. So once we have the volunteers and the leads, we are going to have some preparations around getting the project prepared for a kickoff. And then beginning August 1st all the way to October 16th, we're going to have various sprints to successfully convert the data set over to OMOP. So these activities involve various functions, which I will be addressing in the next following slides. But before that, I will highlight on the meetings that's going to come up with relevant to this specific project. So as I mentioned,
before you go to the meeting, before you go to the meetings, I want to call out and thank you, Morning, for putting this together and helping us with this, right? Morning actually, is the one who's actually got the doctor to agree, right? That practice to agree to allow us to use their data to do this exercise with the community. And he's trying to help push and advertise and promote OMOP in Singapore. And it's a great step and a big step in getting more adoption from just academics, but actually practicing clinicians. So thank you, Morning, for all your effort.
I mean, I don't know what to say after that. Thanks a lot, Moi, for your recognition. Okay, I'll take that all in. Okay, I all deserve everything. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, that's just the beginning point, right? I think I did the least with help and Song and Moi and everyone. Most importantly, as a schedule put here, right? Really want this to be a community effort. And hopefully by our APAC Symposium, then collectively we have something to showcase during our own APAC event. But I can't sing so well, so unfortunately, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
You're not Peter, but I heard you can dance. I'm told you can dance, so maybe we'd be expecting a dancing show.
Let's see how well this ETL project goes. Okay.
Now Morning is putting in requirements for us to see him breakdance. For those of you who don't know, Morning used to breakdance, guys. If you go to the previous collaborator showcases on Odyssey, you will see one about Morning, and there is this great picture of Morning doing a jump, like a Michael Jordan jump. So guys, check that out when you have time. All right. Anyway, thanks Morning for preparing this and pushing this. In terms of meetings, as I said, once we get the volunteers signed up and the project leads identified, we're going to schedule a kickoff among the project leads sometime before August 1st. So ideally July 30th or 31st. And once we're aligned among the leaders, the leads, we're going to kick off the project at the Scientific Forum next month. And then we're going to have either bi-weekly meetings or tri-weekly meetings. I hope I've said that correctly from an English perspective. So some of the sprints are 3 weeks long. One of them is 3 weeks long because we didn't want to like reschedule what was already scheduled. So we're going to reuse whatever scientific forums that have already been set up all the way until October. And then we're going to set up some ad hoc meetings in between to do some sprint reviews among the project teams and have updates among the project teams on how the work is proceeding. One thing to highlight is we are also going to have a general update to the broader community at the community calls. So by community calls, I'm talking about on September 19th, we are going to update the broader community on how the progress is going in between. So sort of a mid project review or mid project update to the broader community. And then on October 17th, we're going to do a final reporting to the broader community on how the project went. So in short, it looks a bit complicated, but we're going to reuse the scientific forums to do the project. And we're going to schedule some meetings in between to match the sprints. For the broader audience here in the community calls, you guys will be getting updates from the project teams in September and also in October. So do look out to participate in the future community calls in September and October to hear about all the lovely updates. Be assured the updates will not always be positive. We'll probably give you some realistic feedback and updates as well. So it's going to be a learning for everybody. So please keep an eye out and join us in our community calls. And for the people who are going to volunteer, you guys will be looped into meetings to match the sprints. And you will also be asked to participate in the scientific forums as well, as these calls will be used for the projects, for the project meetings. So these are the meetings. And last but not least, to go over the structure and how we're going to do this. So for those of you who are already familiar with the OMOP ETL process, this nice diagram and cute diagram might be very familiar. The reason why I have this slide again is just to briefly highlight the functions of a typical OMOP conversion. So first, we need the data analysis function. So we're going to have a data analysis team that is going to design the ETL and create a ETL specification in which the ETL developers can write the SQL scripts to convert the data. So the data analysis, they will analyze the data using the Odyssey tools like White Rabbit and Rabbit in a Hat and create the ETL document. Following that, we will have, of course, the vocabulary mapping team who will need to map the source data codes over to OMOP standard concepts. And we'll also have the ETL team, which I just mentioned, who will be writing the scripts. So they will need to be SQL engineers. They will need to have SQL skill sets in order to function as an ETL developer. And last but not least, we'll have people who will be doing the quality assurance, right? So OHDSI has various tools to assure quality, the Achilles and data quality dashboard. So these people will be using these tools to evaluate and make sure that the final OMOP database is up to the quality standards of OHDSI. So these are the 4 functions. And of course, we have the last function of project management. So project managers like myself will be assigned to manage each of these teams, and also to make sure that we are on track with the entire project and make sure that we hit the deadlines that we originally planned. So based on these functions, we're gonna do a call for volunteers. Of course, we've detailed out the function-specific skill sets required for each function, but we've also put in general prerequisites, right? So we are going to accept observers, so people from the community who want to learn, but we actually really need people who can actually do the work. So general prerequisites, we need both leads and team members. For the leads, you need to have the skill sets on the right, definitely. But in addition to that, you need to have leadership, ownership, and you need to be proactive and make sure that you are collaborative with your team members. In terms of the prerequisites of both leads and members, you need to have a strong willingness to contribute. So you can't be passive about things. You need to have a strong commitment in the next 4 months to make this happen. And you need to, I just put this down to make sure that there will be certain circumstances where the project teams will need to be working under pressure. So I hope for the volunteers that sign up, you are capable of working pressure from time to time. And in terms of the function-specific skill sets, I'm not going to repeat that. I just went over that in the previous slide. But there are specific skill sets that each of these functions require, and these will be included in the sign-up form. So when you choose to volunteer and you choose a specific function, make sure that you are satisfying the criteria. You don't need to be an expert at it. We just need you to have enough experience before that, prior, so that you can actually do the work. So the grand sign-up form now. For those of you who are good with QR codes, you can access the sign-up form now by taking a photo. It's a Google sign-up form. I can pop it up now so that we can all have a look at it. So this is the sign-up form. If you take a picture on the QR code, it will redirect you to this sign-up form. You will be required to enter your email, your name, and your affiliation. So affiliation means what organization you're affiliated to. And you are also required to put in the time zone. So we need to know where you're at in order to make sure these meetings are working for everybody, right? So please enter your time zone. And then the next question you'll be triggered is whether you want to be a volunteer or an observer. So observer, as I said, means you just want to learn. You will be attending the meetings to learn. You won't be asked to do any work. However, I want to emphasize once again, we are looking for volunteers. We want observers as well. Yes, we can open up the floor, but we absolutely need people who can contribute. So once, let me do this. Let me do this. Korea. And if I choose to be a volunteer, so let me do the observe first. So if you choose to be the observer, that's it. You don't need to answer any further questions. You can submit. That's all. If you choose to be a volunteer, oh no, I lost all my information. Okay, there we go. If you choose to be a volunteer, you'll be led to another set of questions. So as I said, you'll be triggered to choose what function you want to volunteer in. So for example, people like me would choose to be a project manager. And then you'll be asked how much time can you contribute to the project, choose what applies to you. For me, I don't know, maybe this, I don't know. And then you will be triggered to ask whether or not you would like to lead one of these functions. So you can either choose yes or no. If you choose no, You don't need to answer any of the you don't need to answer the next question. If you answer yes, you need to answer this question. This question is about the initial project leads kickoff that I was mentioning in the slides that I was just talking about. So you can choose either both if you're available for both. If not, you can add a date or a time that you think is more appropriate for you, but it has to be before the August 1st. And last but not least, there is one more question here. So for those of you who are capable of doing multiple things because you have multiple skill sets, we're also asking you to tell us that. So for me, other than my project management function, I think I can do some vocab mapping, I don't know, and I can choose one more, and then I can submit. So this is what the sign-up form looks like. It won't take you too long, but it is designed so that we know what specific skill sets you have, when you're available, what time zone you're at, okay? So everybody, I see Gyuri has put in the sign-up form URL in the chat as well. Thank you for that. We really hope to see a lot of volunteers so that we can actually make this happen. That's all I have prepared for the announcement today, guys. If there is any questions from the community, I'm happy to take them. Hi, Chan.
So could you post this to the forums of Odyssey as well? I want to share this with the Korean communities by using SNS or something, and I hope that it will be if there is a post in the forum, the more people will notice this. And another thing is that could you just cut the today's recordings about this and then just upload it to the YouTube so that people can easily figure out what happens and what it means.
Sure. Wait.
Hello, so I suppose sorry.
So I know what Song just said sounds scary, right? Because he's asking people for their commitments, making sure that you can commit to the time, and there's pressure and stress. But I want to stress the opposite, okay? The more volunteers we get, the more folks that can come and help us with this work, right? And I think it's a really great opportunity for the APAC community to learn as a whole as to what some of the experiences and the practices for ETL. I can tell you right now, there's already a couple of problems with it, but I'm not telling you what they are because I want the team and the community to experience what it means, right? To start a conversion from scratch. So what you get to learn here is really starting from scratch. What is it that we need to do? How do we prepare ourselves to it? And who's going to do what, right? And, we do have leads, but I can tell you behind the leads are also going to be experts, okay? We're not putting you guys out there to fail. We, as experts in the community, will also guide you guys, but we can't be there all the time. So that's why we need folks that will help us own some of this stuff, right? So I don't want to make it to sound that scary, but it's also, we're looking for commitment at the same time.
Thanks, Mui. Thanks for lessening the pressure. I'm all about getting the work done, so maybe I might have scared people a bit too much, but thanks for that. Stephen, I see your hand up.
Yep. Well, this is interesting. I just want to ask a couple of questions. Question number one is pertaining to basing on the team and functions. You have listed there 5 of them. How big is this scale of work that we are looking at? Is it going to be like the entire EHR, or is it a specific portion of it? Just to get a feel.
Yeah, it's a, so Morning, please correct me if I'm wrong, but the data set is more of a registry, right? So it's a, please, then, yeah, if you're shaking your head, please. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The data set is more like a EHR rather than a registry.
Really? But it is only on patients of a certain people who had operations, right? So doesn't that classify to be
not
more
a full HR? You're right. It's not the entire HR of the hospital, but it's a peri-operative data set. So it only includes patients that went through some operations, and we have their pre-operation data, the continuous data, actually high resolution continuous measurement during the operation, and after the operation, either they're in ICU or in normal ward as well. The data is huge, which makes it exciting, but also don't be scared. We don't expect like we finish everything or done a perfect job in the next few months, right? That's not the purpose. The purpose is to use a real-world data, a real task to create this platform to start the learning process and get the ball rolling. I think Moy is going to come in later to add on to that. But I think we definitely on the planning session, we should plan. Song is very experienced as well. Chan will be there to advise us. We can definitely prioritize some low-hanging fruit to begin with, and then let the team get into it and gain confidence. And depends on how fast we move, right? Then we slowly push the boundaries bit by bit. Yeah. And Moy, I see that you're very eager to speak.
Coming from the
Yes,
consulting
Correct.
perspective. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Coming from the consulting perspective, we always also ask the question is the so what question, right? So once we have actually done with the OMOP CDM, where data is properly ETL, harmonized, and everything nicely done, will they be somebody doing any kind of atlas style of analysis, like the cohort definition plus the population estimates and patient level predictions and stuff like that? So is that part of this particular so-called POC that we are planning to do as well?
Ideally, it will be that we somewhat I won't say do 100% job, but we have ETL a significant portion of the data into the OMOP common data model before our event. So during our datathon, right, the clinical PI also agreed to contribute to the data set on our datathon as well. So during the datathon, then where all the teams can come in to, like you say, actually conduct studies with the PASA data, right? And more beautifully, and hopefully not just Singapore data, we can then connect with other data like from Korea, from Thailand, and other data sites in the region as well.
So to be clear, Stephen, the project itself, it will be focused on ETL. The use of the data, as Morning has said, will be done during the datathon
I see. Got
of
it.
the APAC Symposium.
Got it. That'd be great.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to what Morning said, right? So it's a great question about what's the scope of the data asset, but that we didn't want to go into that because that's part of the analysis, right? So again, we didn't want to set this up where we gave you guys all the answers already, right? So what we would have to do when you actually look at the data asset and say, hey, how much of this can we do and what should we prioritize, right? So we want to go through that exercise as part of this program that we're creating, as part of this initiative, and not deciding for you at the beginning. Because if I decide all this for you to begin with, then you never realize that there are these steps that have to be done before you actually do an OMOP conversion. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Thank you, Lee.
Right. Any other questions from the community? All right, Chan, I will follow up on your requests for you to disseminate. For the rest of the community, please disseminate to any people that you might know will be interested within the community, but are not here in the call today. And we really hope to see a lot of people volunteering in the next week. Yeah, well, next week. All right. Any final comments?
And yeah, very glad to see some of our regional leaders here. Yeah, we'll need your help to promote this effort. As I mentioned, we'd like this to turn to a real APAC kind of community kind of activity. So do help us to pass the message along in your local committee, and hope to recruit more volunteers to do it together. Thanks a lot, Song.
Yeah, I see in real time we have people volunteering. Excellent. Thanks, guys. Thanks for filling out the form as we do the community call. So yeah, this is great, guys. Please spread the news, and we'll see you again on August 1st, guys. And for the leads, let's meet before that. All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thank
Have
you.
a great day ahead.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Actually.